So, what shall we talk about today? Should we talk about how I'm a Gemini? You know what that means. Tell me what that means. Or that I am part man, part machine.
That at night I am like Darth Vader.
Am I Darth Vader? Nah, man. We're here to talk about games. Mad Mikeey Gaming. G'day all you mad gamers of Gamer Nation. I'm Mad Mikey. I come from the land down under. And in today's show of Getting to Know Mad Mikeey Vlogs, aka just transitioning over to the Why I Love series, today we're going to be talking about the third and second last consoles that I really love, and hopefully as we sort of move along, we're going to get into sort of just gaming series and other things that I just love about gaming. But guys, don't forget, you've got two thumbs. I only want one, so don't forget to hit that one thumb button down below. Also, don't forget to tell your old man, tell your mother, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your cousin, tell your friends all about Mad Mikeey Gaming, because they might like games. As in the first part of today's show, we just go through the vlog. Last week was pretty shit, if you didn't know. So in last week's gaming haul of shit I'll probably never play, I sort of touched on the fact that it had been a shit week, which included a lot of sculling. And so basically what happened last week, we lost, a very dearly beloved family member during the week. It was pretty tough on the whole family, especially our nieces and obviously my sister-in-law. So it was their first bit of loss. So it was just really hard to see the little munchkins sort of suffering like that. And then the day after the funeral for that, I find out my mum's in hospital after she is apparently not told me that she's there. Oh, Michael, just to let you know, I'm in hospital and they're doing some tests. So she's got internal bleeding somewhere. They can't find where it is. I'm stressing the hell out. So thank God for gaming this week, because that was the only release that I had. In case you don't know my mother, she thinks that she's bothering everybody, so she doesn't keep us up to date with what's going on, aka her being in hospital for the last 24 hours. During the week, I've been playing Neo, which I've been having a fantastic time with. I'm really enjoying it. I'm only up to the second level now. We did the Gamer Nation podcast this week, which we sort of obviously touched on what we've been playing. And McBeasy decided to have a bit of a laugh at me because I was only up to the second level and I was talking so much about it. And I'm like, dude, the side missions, it's awesome. So you got to check out Neo. It's very Dark Soulish, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's not really one of my games. Like, I've actually been playing a lot of games this week that aren't my thing. Which then I've also been playing For Honor, which is mainly an online game, which I don't play much of. But I have also been streaming onto Beam and Twitter. So, guys, if you don't, check me out in the links below. Add me so you can get notification when I'm on. Generally, I'm playing Xbox games on Beam and PlayStation games on Twitter, but that can change. I might, because Beam is very new at the moment. In case you don't know what Beam is, it's basically Microsoft's Twitch competitor. It works really well. Like, it integrates really well with the Xbox, but I don't know how it works with the PC. I'd assume it's the same. There's actually quite a lot of people on there, and there's a whole big level up system on there, so it's actually really cool. So if you're part of the preview program on Xbox, I do suggest you do check it out, see how you go there. And, towards the end of the week, on Saturday, the missus sort of said to me, Mrs. Mikey, she's like, oh, hey, we've got to go out and we've got to go get a baby shower present for one of her friends. I'm like, do I have to come? She's like, yeah, just come anyway. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be your handbag. And so we went out and she got it, and then she's like, let's go to IKEA. And I'm like, totally not prepared. And I'm like, why are we going to IKEA? I hate IKEA. She's like, look, I've seen some shelving for your gaming room and I want to go check it out. So she's been doing some bloody Sherlock Holmes on this shit. And we've gone looking and we found some really good shelving. I was really happy with it, and it was really good, cheap price. Because the night before on the Friday, we'd actually gone to her best friend's house, and her brother's actually the one going to be doing my custom shelving in my gaming room for the TVs and all the consoles. So we just want something to clean up all the games by putting them in shelving. And as you can see on the video here, I'm really happy with it. Like, it took us all virtually half the day on Saturday. So we started at about, we got home at probably about 4 or 5, and we made one. And we're like, we may as well make the rest. I mean, we've got all the Xbox, all the games are fitting in there with there still being plenty of room. So that's what we wanted. We did sort of get the middle section there to sort of separate it and to just make it, give it a bit of difference, and to be able to sort of put your CD media in there, which is like the PlayStation 1 and the Dreamcast, which I'm collecting. So all in all, I'm really wrapped with that. But I'm happy. The gaming room has begun. Yes. On to the second part of the show, which is the Why I Love. And this week is Sega! Sega! Or as the Americans, and I think basically everybody overseas says Sega! I don't know why they say Sega, because it's an E, so Sega. I don't know. Let's not debate this. But the reason I'm actually showing the Mega Drive 2 version 2, I do actually have the first one, which was donated by a very friendly fellow. If you watch Shit Noel Never Play, you'll know him as Timmy. But I'd actually bought this the week that he'd given it to me. So I ended up with 2 of the Sega Mega Drives. And this was my first ever console. And I absolutely love this console. I played the shit out of this console. I used to just play for sports games, so a lot of NBA games. I was a bit of a jock back in high school, so I was just playing sports games. So I'd play basketball all day at school, played at PE, play it after school for training, and then I'd come home and I'd play some more on here. So NBA Live 95, I actually played the whole season of that. It was actually quite funny because my favorite player back then was Jimmy Jackson. And Jimmy Jackson, I traded him to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know why I traded him to the Phoenix Suns. I'd always sort of been a Lakers and a Knicks fan, in case you haven't noticed. And I just liked Phoenix's uniform at that point in time. And I traded Jimmy there, and I wanted him to lead the lead in A, scoring, and B, 3-point percentage. So if I ever missed a shot, if he missed a 3, I would actually start the game again, which was pretty terrible. But anyway, I played NBA Live, and I don't know if you guys know about 96. 96 NBA Live didn't have all the rookies and was missing Michael Jordan and a couple of other players that weren't licensed to the game. But anyway, if you went into the creator player, which was new that year, you could put in their name, and if you put in a specific player's name, they were already created. They were already there. So they had all their stats, so you could have in Michael Jordan. So I'd put them in, and like that's how anal I was about sports games back then. I created everybody. I went and found out who the top draft picks were in my basketball magazines, because you didn't have much of the internet back then. I just put in all the rookies, put in Michael Jordan, put in Charles Barkley, because they never appeared in any of the NBA Live games. I'm actually just thinking about that. I'm interested to find out why. But the only other games that I sort of played was a Mortal Kombat, a couple of the X-Men games, NBA Jam, which is, yeah, that's still an NBA game. But that was my first sort of thing, because all my friends, they had Nintendos, and I was the Sega guy. There's always one of us out there, you know. But it wasn't for a few more years after that, which obviously my friends had PlayStations. I had the PlayStation then. And then I was over at a friend's house, Dan's, and he had another friend called Dan. And they were playing this console, and I looked at it and I was like in amazement. I'm like, what the hell is this? And they were like, it's the Sega Dreamcast. And I'm like, oh my god, what? Sega still make consoles and this? And they were like, yeah. And like the guy whose console it was, he didn't sound too excited about it. But they were playing Resident Evil Code Veronica. And just the lighting and the shading and everything looked amazing on it. And I was in awe of this console. Like looking at a PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2 wasn't out, or any of us couldn't afford it. So we were just playing this, and my other friend, he was a huge Resident Evil fan as well, Dan. And we were just sort of playing through it, and as I said, I was in awe of this thing, and I'm like, dude, why aren't you more psyched about this? And he's sort of showing it to me, like the controller and the memory card. And he's like, he goes, it's nothing special, and plus the PlayStation 2 is coming out a bit later on. I'm like, dude, if you don't want it, I'll buy it off of you, because I was making, and if you guys didn't watch the last one, I was making about $100 a day cash in hand. And he's like, yeah, I'll sell it to you. And I said, look, do you mind if I just sort of pay you off in increments, sort of thing? He's like, yeah, no, that's fine. But I never got in contact with him again, sort of thing. Like, we'd run into each other at parties, and I'd be like, hey, you still want to sell? He goes, oh, I sold it. And I'm like, no! Fast track to about a year ago. I'm on Gumtree, and I'm looking on, for you guys who don't know what Gumtree is, like, lets you find things locally, basically, for people selling. So it's like eBay, but a local eBay, and a lot more sort of dodgier and annoying. And anyway, I've been looking for the Dreamcast for a while, but it was always $250, $300, and I was like, that's a bit too much. And I'd actually seen it on there for $150. And so I messaged the guy and I said, hey, is it still for sale? And he's like, look, I've got somebody who's sort of interested, but if it falls through, you're more than welcome to it. And anyway, I was talking to him, telling him about my memories, which I've just shared with you guys. He's like, you know what? He said that he was interested 2 days ago. Yeah, I haven't heard back from him, so it's yours if you want to come by tomorrow. I'm like, fuck yeah, bitches! So then I went over there and I bought it, and it was Tim, the guy who hooked me up with the other Sega Mega Drive. That was the first time we met, and he introduced me to all the Facebook groups and everything. And he gave me a lot of extras for no extra cost. He's like, oh, I just chuck in a couple of games here, and a couple of burnt games. Anyway, so I was wrapped with this, and I got it home, and I just started looking at games and downloading games, and I was in love with this game. And the more sort of research that I was doing on it, I was like, if you use burnt games on it, it's doesn't do the disk drive very good. And I was like, okay, well, shit, I better do something. So I started looking and started trying to buy games. I was like calling up the local game traders, which is no longer there anymore. But I was like, hey, do you have any Dreamcast games? Hey, do you have... And this was like once a week, and I was messaging them, and I was going down there at any chance, because it was a bit of a hike, but whenever we were there, I'd go there, and they'd have a Dreamcast game, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to get it. So that's where the game collection actually started. So maybe Tim is the enabler, not Vossi. But this console was really ahead of its time. If you can see back here, you've got the actual plug-in for dial-up internet. So Sega, I think they really suffered of being ahead of their time, but behind their time. Because when the PlayStation 2 came out, that had obviously DVD support, where you could watch DVD media. And the Dreamcast was still operating off of a CD hybrid. It was CD media, but it was also a bit bigger than a CD in terms of size. I think it held about a gig. It was incredibly easy to burn games for this console. It sort of came out in 1999, and as we all know now, it was dead by 2002. But there's still a lot of big Sega Dreamcast fans out there, and there's people still to this day developing games. Like there's been new games come out more than sort of 2 a year over the last sort of 5 years. So the community for the Dreamcast is still there. And if you get a VGA adapter, and that's the thing about this console, like the VGA adapters, it was so forward thinking, because this was detachable, and you could actually put in like broadband connection on this, so you could get the replacement. It's just such a shame that they failed. Like the controller itself, I love the feel of the controller in your hands, but the stick is just a bit flimsy. So it's they did so many things right, but then they did so many things wrong. Like they put out so many different peripherals for that console that just I mean they sort of went all balls in on this console, and unfortunately it failed. But it invigorated my love for gaming, retro collecting, and everything. And also, I mean, it gave birth to the NBA 2K series. So a story had it when they were making the Dreamcast. Sega approached EA and they're like, "Hey, we want you to obviously be on board." And that they were negotiating prices, and then EA sort of came and said, "Hey, we want to be exclusive. We want to be the exclusive sports brand on your console." And the owner of Sega said, "Hey, I've just bought this gaming sports gaming company for 10 million. We want you to compete with them." I'm like, no, we want to be the only sports games on your console. They're like, you know what, stuff it. And then that bought us NBA 2K, which is now the premier sporting basketball game in the world. EA dominated for so long in terms of sports. I mean, obviously they dominate with Madden and FIFA, but they haven't done anybody any favors by just keep on doing what they're doing. But this console, I love you. But what I potentially love even more is Shenmue. Now, this was also another big deciding factor on why I got into the Dreamcast. I had Shenmue 2, which this one is, on the Xbox. Now, that had a backstory CD and everything, but it didn't really sort of tell a tale. And I was like, I really want to play this game because heaps of people, everybody talks so highly of it. There's a guy on YouTube called Adam Korolik, and I read up a lot about what I know about the Dreamcast now, and he just rants and raves about this game. So I was like, I've got to get it. And now these games aren't cheap. This one cost me, I think it was about 140 or 150, and the first one came without the slip, and that was only 120. But still very expensive for sort of 10-year plus games that apparently are no good. But the funny thing is, Shenmue 1 comes in English. And this is actually in Japanese or whatever language it is. I don't know. Which is actually really weird. But what really amazed me, now I finished Shenmue 1 and there was just some sort of, I'm going to make up a word here, some complex simplicity to the game. It was way, way ahead of its time and such a fantastic game. Like, to think that they made that back in 1999 and the things that game did, like, just they had all the little arcade mini games. They had lots of mini games in there. It was semi-open world. It had day-night cycle. It had seasonal cycles. So the game sort of started place and then would sort of move on to winter and Christmas, and had multiple endings and multiple sort of branches in the game. And then to top it off, I inserted Shenmue 2 after I'd finished Shenmue 1. And it said, your VMU has detected a save game file from Shenmue 1. Would you like to continue your game? And I'm like, that is Mass Effect? Is that you? And I was just in awe. I'm like, yes, I'm going to continue it, because there's apparently a couple of different endings, and depending on when you finish it in terms of like date in the game, that can alter the ending. So I was actually I was sort of deciding whether to play it on the Xbox when I found out that this was subtitled, because I know that the Xbox version is in English. I was just like, no, I want to continue my story of Ryu. And that is just really what solidified my love of this. I've got so many games, like the forward thinking and just the VGA adapter for it, which actually makes the games look incredible on modern TVs. I'm actually waiting for a second one to come through called the Hanzo, because the Retrobit one that I have has got prison lines on there. They just look like fuzzy lines if you remember back in the day. and this one, the Hanzo one's supposed to clean it up. And they've actually just bloody a couple of weeks after I bloody ordered that one, announced pre-orders for basically the same thing, but with a HDMI adapter. So I'm like, oh, because I would really love to keep that out with all my current gen consoles, because this is the last current gen Sega. I love you. That's it for today, guys. Question of the day is obviously, do you have any Sega memories? What are your favorite Sega memories? I want to talk to you about Sega, because there's still a lot that I don't know about Sega, like the in-between. So you've got the Saturn, you've got the Sega CD and all those crazy add-ons that came with that. But what is your favorite Sega console? I guess is the question as well, or game. I'd really love to know, but definitely for me, Shenmue series is amazing. If you guys don't know, Tuesday and Thursday we've got In a Gamer's Life, where I talk about my thoughts on the gaming news out there, and Friday we have the Gaming Hall of the Shit I'll Never Play, which features a lot of retro games as well as current games. And it'll be another, not this week, but the next week, we are going live on iTunes, on Google, for our podcast, the Gamer Nation podcast. We just finished up our beta last week, and last beta. So that'll be dropping on Tuesday in the USA and Wednesday in Australia. So guys, it'll be on SoundCloud. So guys, hope you have a listen, and I will see you guys tomorrow for A Day in This Gamer's Life. Bye guys.